On this channel, we have recently covered a couple of things surrounding the time Lily Phillips decided to sleep with 100 men. I went through the video myself, we went through the video of Jake Doolittle watching it, and then at one point, when doing a video on Brett Cooper in the comment section, I mentioned how the comment section also had a video on Lily Phillips. The comment section is a conservative right-wing commentary channel produced by the Daily Wire, which is their way of trying to sneak into like young 18 to 24, 24 to 35 demographics and going, hey kids, you know, we're cool too. This totally isn't overproduced and written by a 58-year-old in their basement. So today we're going to look at the comment sections video on Lily Phillips sleeping with 100 men in one day. I'm going to treat this very differently than I did with Jake Doolittle. With Jake Doolittle, I was hoping, you know, the guy goes, sex work is work, and I support women, did just that. I do not expect that of a right-wing conservative commentary channel, and I expect them to be pretty gross about it, which I will obviously have my issues with. Also, I keep getting comments on the last video of people being like, actually, I would sleep with the Yeti from Monsters Inc. You're right. You are absolutely right. I did not consider that.
I should put a warning in the beginning of this video. If there are children around, get them out. This is not for their ears. I have been watching this story of a young woman unfold over the past several weeks online. She's been slowly growing in popularity, and her story seems so absurd that I did not and could not believe that it was true. Then I learned that it was very much true, but I didn't want to just do a story covering her and giving her even more attention.
Do I need a second camera just sitting here?
That is until I learned that another creator has also been following her story and just filmed an entire documentary around the event that made her viral. And what resulted from that documentary warranted an episode. The young woman who has gone viral for sleeping with 100 men in one day is named Lily Phillips, and she is only 23 years old. She's an creator from the UK.
I already know that the comments on this video are going to be so awful to look at.
One outlet covered the story and they said an model's viral documentary and why it sparked a major conversation about. This is one of the first videos I ever saw of Lily.
I spent 14 consecutive hours getting ran through, and now I'm going to be doing 24 because I'm going to be going for the world record early February next year.
When I first saw that video, I had no idea what she was talking about.
They're very like obvious and easy jokes to make there, right? Like Lily Phillips saying, I just got ran through for 14 hours. And then Reagan goes, I don't know what she's talking about. And then I come up with a list of jokes in my head that I can make. I'm going to be so serious and say this is just not the time for that. And most of those jokes are stupid anyway.
I had no idea what she was talking about because I thought there's no way that what I think she's talking about is actually what she's talking about, but she is. One commenter said, historians are going to skip us, which in the case of this girl, I hope is true because it's so embarrassing for our species as a whole, specifically for women.
Is having autonomy over your own body embarrassing? If in 1,000 years, us as a species are not progressive enough to look back at this and go, oh, this is kind of when people started being like, women can do whatever they want with their bodies, then I don't know where you think we're going as a species.
Now, I'm sure as many of you are probably thinking, there is no way this is real. I mean, the words that came out of her mouth do not in any way match the beautiful, well-dressed young woman before you, but sadly, they do.
What is she supposed to look like, though? Like, she doesn't look like somebody who just got ran through by 14 men. What is she supposed to look like? Is this what you want her to look like? Is this the eye of a person who's been ran through by 14 hours worth of men?
Because a few videos later, I watched as she provided these vlog-style check-in videos throughout her marathon of cycling 100 men through her bedroom and then updating her team and the audience as to how she was doing on TikTok. And she would come out fully clothed, of course. I was not watching anything promiscuous, but she was coming out and giving her team an update and giving TikTok an update as to how she was doing. Obviously, I will spare you those videos, but let's just say that it was utterly vile and simultaneously heartbreaking. And as to be expected, and just what she wanted, this story was picked up by the media and spread like wildfire. And the absurdity of this mission seems to be a growing trend because creators are seeking more and more outrageous stunts in order to gain and then keep their audience's attention. As of 2023, there were more than 4 million OF creators. So she is just one of millions seeking more disgusting ways to sell themselves.
That's so stupid. That is so dumb. First off, there's now been a wave of people being like, I'm going to sleep with 101, 102, 108 men now. It was Lily Phillips and then Bonnie Blue being a weirdo. Second, like, I mean, I don't really keep up with the OF space, so maybe I'm wrong, but listen, I think I would have seen it on Twitter by now if there were more people. Saying there's 4 million OF creators is like saying there's 4 million people who post on YouTube. They're not all profitable. They're not all people who make money off of it. They're not all people who are full-time. And they're not all people who post full-length videos. So she's just 1 of million seeking more disgusting ways to sell yourselves. I would rather be a full-time OF creator, doing whatever it is I want to do, then go back to working at Walmart like I did when I was in college, or Walgreens like I did the year after that when I was in college, or any job where I had to sit there, listen to people who didn't care about me, knew nothing about me, did not have any of my best interest, did not even want to treat me like a person most of the time, and make $9.50 an hour. Oh, Max, just get an education. I have a math degree. I got an office job that I hated. What happened? I sat there 9 hours a day, 5 days a week, staring at Excel in a computer. If I did anything else, it was a problem. I would rather sit on OF doing what it is I want to do in the safety of my own home than to go back to that life where I just thought about all the time. And I hate the way that people who have never had a real job speak of the way people who are just trying to not fall into the monotony of life. Lily Phillips is more than capable of doing whatever job she wants. At this point, she has the entire business side of it figured out. She can do whatever she wants. If this is how she wants to make her living, great. She is not hurting anyone else. If you want to get to the conversation of an OF creator who is actively hurting other people, then we go back to Bonnie Blue, who was like being so creepy towards people who are still in school, whether or not we even know they were of age. How are you going to look at a woman just living her life and then go, all 4 million OF creators are finding more disgusting ways to sell their bodies? I'd rather sell my body to strangers than to the Daily Wire. I'd rather the entire world see me naked than to sit on camera and act like these people. I would rather the entire world see me naked than to sit on camera and hide behind these random conservative values. You're not better than anyone else. I don't care what Lily Phillips does for a living. Sitting here and making yourself feel better by saying they're finding more and more disgusting ways to sell their body doesn't do anything for anyone. And I hate that I know I'm going to go into the comments and it's a bunch of people agreeing with you. Oh, brother. Like, you don't have to have an opinion. Lily was a full-time creator before you. She'll be a full-time creator after you. You don't have to have an opinion on this. You don't have to make a full video just to call her a whore. This is a different side to the conversation that I had about Jake Doolittle, right? With Jake, he was making so many dumb jokes that it was bothering me because it was like you're sitting here making lube jokes and they're not funny. If you were funny, whatever, that's fine. But you're not. Reagan is not going to do that. Reagan is not going to sit here and go, here's a 10-minute set I wrote on Lily Phillips. I want you to think I'm funny. She's going to treat this very matter-of-factly, and she's going to tell you her just thoughts and opinions, or rather that of like a 40-year-old man writing it in the back. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, that was a bad joke, but it's a bad opinion and one you don't have to have. Is she hurting other people? Because we can have that conversation. Do I not know? Do I just not know? Is Lily like luring men over under the guise of like recording for her OnlyFans and then stabbing them? Am I just unaware? Or is she creating content with people who are consenting to it for money the way we all do? Is it the type of content you want to make? Maybe not. Is it the type of content you consume? Probably. Is it the type of content you judge? Yes. Yes, it is. Why? It doesn't affect you. And the conversation of, well, men are never going to treat us with respect if they see stuff like that. The men who are not treating you with respect are the men who are not going to change their minds. The men who are consuming this because they love the degradation of women aren't going to change whether or not that content is there. So what are you actually mad at? Are you mad at women taking the sexualization that's placed upon them anyway and then monetizing it? Is that the problem? Or is it the conservative, well, I wouldn't do that, so it's gross when you do?
1 of millions seeking more disgusting ways to sell themselves. Just a few days ago, I saw another young woman who I've come to learn is a friend of Lily's, who was also going viral for sleeping with young men who were barely legal, who she calls schoolies. I mean, it's just disgusting, it's predatory, and if she was a man, there would be riots in the streets.
There would not be riots in the streets. If Bonnie Blue was a man, she would be elected in the United States of America. That being said, we've talked about Bonnie Blue. We've all pretty much agreed that that is an entirely different thing, right? Like, Bonnie Blue is very predatory in the way that she approaches this, which is a problem. The problem is not the content per se. The problem is being a predator. Those are two separate arguments. That's like arguing YouTube channels. That's like arguing streamers. Ludwig and Sneeko are not the same streamers, despite them both streaming. One of them plays video games, and the other one made a video about liking a movie sexualizing children. Which one's which? So yes, Bonnie Blue and Lily Phillips make content on the same website. Is it similar content? Maybe. Is it approached the same? No, it is not. One of them's a predator, and that's a problem we've already talked about.
Nonetheless, I have spent countless hours digging into the lives of these young women, specifically Lily, because at only 23 years old, I have...
You think she watched the videos? She's like, I need to do my research, all right? This is for research purposes only. And then she watched the videos. I'm not going to blame her. I'm not sub to an OF, but I'm not going to blame Reagan for subscribing to a couple of them for research, just for research. She has videos to make.
Because at only 23 years old, I have struggled to understand the why behind her actions. And I simply refuse to believe that she is living this dream that she attempts to paint online. On TikTok, she appears in mere 20-second videos, says something wildly outlandish, and then disappears again. So no one really knows what's happening after she turns off the camera. That is until YouTuber Josh Pieters decided to follow Lily on the weeks leading up to her big day of sleeping with 100 men, and he documented the entire process. And this documentary was not at all what I was expecting. I thought it was gonna be, oh, look how cool her life is, and oh, it's so salacious, and she's so sexy, and this is so cool. And it was none of that. And also, I give huge props to Josh, who put together this video, because he so effortlessly made the point that many of us are trying to make.
What does she mean? Like Josh followed her around while she ate, bought clothes, made $500 in 10 minutes, and then kind of just spoke about her life and about how her parents are supportive. Is having supportive parents not cool? I wish I had supportive parents.
And also, I give huge props to Josh, who put together this video, because he so effortlessly made the point that many of us are trying to make. And so I wanted to walk you all through a few key moments of this video.
What does that mean? Like, does she think Josh is on her side? I think Josh was very new to everything that was going on, but he tried really hard to just talk to her like a person. And at the end of it all, he just wanted to make sure that she was okay. It was so not really about the content itself and much more about Lily as a person.
But I also recommend that you go over to Josh's channel and watch the entire thing, because I think it is very impactful.
You're gonna have sex with 100 guys. Do you ever think about what it would be like if you ran into one of them in the streets after that had happened?
When I did 37 guys in a day, I genuinely can't remember any of their faces.
Right.
Well, maybe if I saw that, then like I'd recognize them.
Yeah.
So gross.
Before I had, I was never much of a... I actually wanted to wait till marriage at one point. I just used to think it was a real special thing.
How can you have that 180-degree shift so quickly? Again, she's only 23 years old.
So Jake Doolittle brought up the exact same point, but it's like anything else. And I'm going to say, for a lot of people, sex is kind of like jumping into the pool, right? It's a little scary, and you could tell that it's cold, but you jump in and you're like, oh, yeah, that was not that big of a deal. Enjoyable. I can't swim, but we're not doing metaphors right now. I actually can't swim. And so for some people, it's like, oh, I like that. I'm going to do it again. And it turns out this idea that you've been fed your entire childhood of sex being the purest thing you can do as a Christian, at Girl Defined, has not been true. It's a lie. It's just something you do with somebody you love sometimes, and it's enjoyable. And it could be more than that, it could be less than that, but for a lot of us, it's just something you do with someone you love, casually. So yes, you can have sex for the first time, having thought your entire life that you were supposed to wait until marriage, enjoy it, and then go, I want to do this again. And it doesn't have to be a big deal. You know that she didn't write that either. Some like 40-year-old virgin in the back wrote it.
You have that 180-degree shift so quickly. Again, she's only 23 years old. This next part in the video is when she's talking to Josh about how she's going about finding these 100 men. It's just the messages for men.
This is where the applications are coming through.
Where the guys are messaging.
I had it switched off for a little bit, so it's just...
So how are you doing this? You put out a phone number
Yeah.
and people can just apply?
Yeah, so I put out a little Twitter post.
God, I think many people watching
She did the Jake Doolittle.
Yeah, so I put out a little Twitter
a little Twitter post. If that's a little Twitter post, then what's a big Twitter post? I can't help myself. I'm sorry. That's like exactly what Jake Doolittle sounds like in my head.
I think many of people watching this will think that I'm being too sympathetic at times, but it's because I'm so angry and disgusted that I shift into a sadness that then might come across as sympathy. But I have both of the anger and the sympathy kind of running at the same time. I don't even, it's disgusting. She's posting something like that, so obviously it's getting hundreds of these gross messages from men. Like, everyone in this situation is disgusting. Everyone is gross. Okay, let's continue.
Mind you, when she's saying she's posting a picture like that, Lily is posting a picture in lingerie on Twitter, right? She's not like naked. She's not, there's nothing in her mouth or on her face. She's just like, hey, here's a video I'm doing, apply. But I think to people who wear being anything close to naked has been just so shameful within your religion. Yeah, that's probably a lot to see. Get over it. You're an adult. You're an adult. Surprise. Some people wear less clothes sometimes.
Is this just going to be completely random as to how you pick them?
Yeah. Like we said, we prioritize the ones who have STI checks.
Also, we will find later in the video that not all of them actually have STI checks before engaging in all of this. And she doesn't really care. Like, she cares, but also she doesn't fully know how you even get an STI at one point, which, again, watch the whole video and you'll see, because this dear Josh is teaching her a lot of things that she should have known before engaging in this.
That has so far been like the one right criticism, is she should know how STIs are passed. And also the initial STI checks were like the bare minimum you could have done. And then later on, when they ask for replacements, they don't do any at all. That absolutely should have been a lot different.
So here's the first time in the video where Josh is starting to kind of poke holes in her very confident girl power facade.
Our filming was interrupted briefly by a phone call from Lily's mother. Apparently, she calls Lily every day.
I do feel a little bit like embarrassed being like, Mom and Dad, I'm 100 guys.
Why?
I guess because it's not really what my parents would have wanted me to do. Doesn't mean to say my parents are like gonna disown me or hate me or anything like that. I just don't want them to think less of me.
It's like she knows. She knows that what she's doing is off, but she doesn't quite care. And apparently neither do her parents. Apparently they're supportive, which is disgusting.
I don't know what she wants out of Lily, because there are plenty of things that aren't this level of sexual that would be embarrassing. Imagine your parents walking in on you in the middle of having sex. That's embarrassing. I don't care if that's within your marriage, with a stranger, with somebody that you met on Craigslist in 1994. That would be embarrassing. It is embarrassing to think of your parents thinking about you having sex, let alone with 100 people. That's just a normal thought to have. Also, like, what are her parents supposed to do? Disown her? No, we don't want to support you. You, as a good parent, hopefully want what's best for your daughter. You raised her. You raised her. You raised her. You raised her. This is who she is. This is who she has become. Whether or not this is what you wanted for her, this is who she is. And as a parent, unless she's going around murdering people or trying to juggle babies and dropping one every now and then, you go, not what I wanted for you, but I will support you.
She also mentioned at one point that her dad's friends reach out to her and she thinks it's funny. And her dad thinks it's funny. What kind of father are you? And speaking,
That does not happen. That, again, like at some point, they just lie. She mentions that some of the people who ask her for private photos or customs will say something like, oh, I'm one of your dad's friends. I remember you growing up. She looks really disgusted, but at no point does she say, that's really funny. And at no point do her parents say that's really funny. I'm sure, so sure, that regardless of how supportive you are, if as a father you hear that your friends are going up to your daughter going, I remember watching you grow up and now I want to see you naked, that you're about to have an issue with your friends. But like, that's such a weird thing to say. Like, you could have just played that back. At no point are they like, isn't this so funny? LOL.
what kind of father are you? And speaking of girl power, watch this.
I see that you've kind of like taken on the word like and almost owned it in a way.
Yeah, 100%. I don't mind being called I'm sleeping with 100 guys in a day. That is the definition of a
At least she's aware. She's
Would you
self-aware.
refer to yourself as a feminist?
Yeah. At the end of the day, doesn't feminists mean like you just want equal rights for boys and girls, and yeah.
This is not the work that women in the 1920s were out with picket signs marching for. Sleeping with 100 men in one day. They would have never thought this was possible. I never thought this was possible.
People who consider themselves to have never been oppressed, regardless of what group they're in, because there's them in every group, right? Don't really understand the reclaiming of words. If Lily calls herself this to make a point of like, you could call me that, I don't care. It's not going to hurt my feelings. That's the whole point of reclaiming words. Like if I got my feelings hurt for every single thing I've ever been called, I would never get anything done. And people who just have grown up so sheltered and outwardly loved, I don't think get that.
One and the same. Right to vote, right to sleep with a record amount of men. Modern day feminism.
Yes, actually. The right to represent yourself as a person, the right to control your own body and what you do with it, and who you let do what you want with it. Yes, those are the exact same thing. I promise you, if Lily Phillips was a man, this video would have never been made. The Josh Pieters video, maybe, but like, not the comment section. There would not have been a video from Reagan going, he slept with 100 women. What a whore.
Guys are always gonna me, so I may as well try and profit off that bit.
I mean, not all guys are going to sexualize you.
Josh?
Dropping a not all men is stupid there. Not all men are going to sexualize you. Enough for her to make way more money than you thought possible. At what point can you say all and not be wrong? Because it's not 100%, right? But if every man you meet is going to, I'm not going to complain when you say all. If 80% of men, 60% are going to sexualize you and you say all, I'm not going to be like, oh, but not me. Not me, not all men, dude. Enough men are sexualizing her for her to make so much money that somebody with over 1 million YouTube subs looks at it and goes, oh my God, way more than I expected. So you want to blame her for making money off of men? Blame the men for paying for it.
Josh is fantastic. There's no better person to do a documentary like this than a young man about her age looking at her and saying, no, not all men are going to you. You don't have to accept this. It's heartbreaking to watch him say that to her because he's trying to signal to her that no, this is not the only option. Clearly in her past, she has experienced that, but that is not fair to say about all men at all.
It's very naive to look at this and say Josh is saying that because he is trying to signal to her that not all men. I think more so what it is Josh is someone who himself would not do it, so doesn't understand that a lot of other people do. If Josh said to her, I would not sexualize you, I would believe him. But when the majority of people who do interact with her are sexualizing her, congrats, you wouldn't do it. You're one guy who wouldn't do it. I also wouldn't do it. Now there's two of us. She could quit her career now. If you took every man that appears in this video, you have a minimum 100-to-1 ratio of people who are sexualizing her to people who are not. That is what she's dealing with. She's not dealing with the one person who comes to talk to her. So yes, she should be allowed to make money off that.
But that is not fair to say about all men at all. Something in her mind feels out of balance. It reminds me of...
Dude, how are they so good at going into ads? I did not see that coming at all.
Now, unlike this is not healthy at all. This is when Josh talked to another sex worker to get her thoughts on Lily's actions.
I think it's
At least she can say the word sex. She has that over the last one we watched. I'll just go here, I guess.
I just worry about her mental health. I'm hoping it's a hoax and it's not gonna actually happen. I don't know. You're gonna be known as the girl that shot 100 guys in one day, and I think that's really sad. The problem is that when you sign up to objectifying yourself, it's like you're signing a deal with the devil. Like, no one is going to see you as a human being.
I think that was a fair idea to have when this was happening, because we all had ideas of how Lily Phillips was going to be perceived. Afterwards, we didn't know. But now we do. Now we do. Now we do. Lily Phillips is just doing whatever Lily Phillips does now. Like anything else on the internet, people cared for a month and then let it go. Lily could walk into a store and I don't think that many people would recognize her. And I really don't think that her bank account cares about your opinion. Or mine.
Now, this part of the video, we're on the day that she's going to partake in this activity. And Josh is there in the morning kind of wishing her good luck, but he is visibly upset and unwell. And I think, again, that speaks to the gravity of what she's doing and the fact that this man cares enough to believe that what's going on is not right.
It seemed the reality.
No. Stop. Like, that's not what's happening at all. The reason that I'm okay watching this video so many different times from so many different perspectives, it's because I just want to see how everybody nitpicks everything. Like Jake Doolittle. And again, I keep mentioning the man, but these two are connected. Jake Doolittle kept picking at times when she looked a little sad, going, wow, I feel so bad for her. God, she just like doesn't know what's happening. And Reagan is picking at areas where Josh Pieters is having a human connection with her, where he wants her to be safe. He wants to make sure she's okay. He wants to make sure she's fed and taken care of. He wants to just make sure she's okay. He's not judging her for sleeping with 100 men. He thinks it's extreme, but that's because it's extreme. To say that sleeping with 100 people in one day isn't, regardless of your sex, gender, anything, is a little dumb. It is. It's a lot. Sleeping with 100 people is a lot. I don't care who you are. It's okay to worry about her mental health, and her well-being. That's normal, and that's what he's doing. He's not going, yeah, I know this is wrong. I know this is wrong. God's going to look at her and God's going to judge her. Just, how could she do this? How could she do this? This is not what feminism was for. Feminism was so that you could get a job and so I could give you 70 cents for every dollar that I make, but that's not fair because that means I'm only left with 30. And now we're all the way back to Bo Burnham.
Man cares enough to believe that what's going on is not right.
It seemed
He cares about her, not the situation. Chill.
the reality of what Lily was undertaking was starting to become slightly more real.
Hello.
Hello, how are you feeling?
Nervous. No, excited. It's nice to actually meet the boys because it puts you at ease a bit.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm nervous. Is it
And you're not getting.
How are you feeling?
No, I'm a little bit nervous.
Okay.
I'm excited.
Notice how he's not like reminding her that God wouldn't love this or that it's dangerous. He's just sitting there going, this is a lot, and wants her to be safe.
Just putting a baby monitor in
I need to remember that these people are given scripts, not media literacy.
here so I can keep an
Oh,
eye
that's
on
smart.
you.
I just want to pause. All of her assistants, her entire team of 9 people, I believe, all their faces are blurred. No one wants to be publicly associated with what they're doing.
They're blurred because Josh is making a documentary on Lily, not anyone else. I'm sure you could find Lily's employees online if you want to.
Again, speaks to this undercurrent that everyone knows what they're doing is wrong.
God, she's like so badly wants to be right.
It was just weird. Like, that's all I can describe it as. It's just so weird. Like, Lily seemed a bit more nervous than she seemed throughout this, but
Duh.
still, like, kind of up for it. I just cannot believe in the middle of this, like, super affluent suburb, this girl is about to just have a load of strangers, 100 strangers.
Ugh, it's so sick. And everyone sees it. And Lily just does it anyways. There's a part in this video too where Josh asks if there's gonna be security, if everyone's had background checks, and she says, oh, no, didn't think about that. But then eventually day of, they did get security, and I think that was largely in part because of Josh's suggestion that, hey, there could be a serial killer in the mist. There could be literally anyone who wants to do her harm. And she just doesn't care. It's just a blatant disregard for her own safety in every part of this, which is why I think it makes no sense to the average person. Now, Josh was not present for this marathon of debauchery, but he did talk to one of the guys after he came out of Lily's Airbnb.
I think a problem with the comment section in general is that they believe that they represent like the average person when they don't. They represent you if you grew up with money, with parents, and like an inability to fail because of that. They represent you if you have never had to work for the things you were voting against. And so it's easy for her to be like, me and people like me would never do something like this. But consider that this has nothing to do with you, and that the world around you isn't just for your understanding. You don't have to understand why people do what they do all the time, and filtering other people's actions through your own brain is not going to help you. There are plenty of things in this world I wouldn't do. I'm not going to judge the people who do them. For example, this. I could not see myself sleeping with 100 people in a day. That just is so many. But who am I to say Lily shouldn't? Should it have been safer? Yeah, but we've talked about that. Should it have been different? Maybe. But to make up things like Josh being on your side, or the reason everyone else is blurred is because they're embarrassed to be associated with her, not because they have nothing to do with the documentary, that's all dumb. That's all just so stupid. Some of y'all still play Minecraft. I'm judging you for that, but I do it silently. This is so far not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it's still just very on the side of like she wants to call Lily a whore. You know she does.
We were able to speak to another man as he left the Airbnb, although he seemed shaken by the
Look at his
experience.
hands.
How are you feeling?
It's not something.
Are you going to blame him for any of this? Like, he had to put in so much work to get here. This man had to sign up for it. Be sub to her OF, fly, go through with it. And you're like, oh, he's shaking. He's not a victim. So how are you going to talk about this man?
I'd normally do, but I saw it. I thought, what much wrong?
Yeah.
I think I saw it and I just thought, much what, just do it.
Where is the men's self-respect? There's no
Okay.
self-respect in any part of this. So here is at the very end when Josh comes back to the Airbnb. It's filthy. And there's Lily standing in the middle talking about it.
Oh, it stinks.
What does it smell
Hey,
like?
like brace yourself. Brace yourself.
Oh, holy
I guess it.
You actually can.
Again, the angel men, the sweet I forgot about the poor cameraman who's part of this. They're both suffering from just the mere presence of what has occurred. At least have the self-respect and the decency to clean up after yourself. Of course he's gagging.
What do you mean clean up after yourself? They walked in immediately after she was done. I'm surprised she's not taking a nap, dude.
It does smell a lot like sex. I mean, and there's a rose. That's nice. Did one of the guys?
In the midst of the chaos and the filth, there is a rose. Because one man at least had the decency to bring her a rose. So horribly, disgustingly poetic.
I don't know if I'd recommend it.
Why not?
I think if you're a different type of girl, it's very like, it's kind of like being a prostitute in a sense of like, it's just a different feeling. I don't know how to explain it. Like,
It's not like just having sex with someone.
yeah, just one in, one out. Like, it feels intense.
Transactional.
Like more intense than you thought it might.
Definitely.
Sorry. Okay. Okay. Just take
Yeah, 1 minute.
Just seeing Josh's face here too. Seeing a man's face in this being so dejected.
She seems like someone who cares a lot about what men think in every situation, whether or not that situation has anything to do with her. Like, she's going to respect the opinion of a man just because over the opinion of someone who might actually have something to do with it.
Is equally heartbreaking. But here is a moment of clarity. Here's a moment of humanity. And that's why I wanted to show this video. Because regardless of the facade that she puts out to the world, this is the reality of her actions. This is the raw emotion of what just happened. She says that it's just nothing. It's just a thing that she does. So why not do it for money? Why not make money? Why not do it 100 times a day? This is why. Because it's not just. At the very end of the video, she tries to tell Josh that she was really just upset because she wasn't able to give men her best performance and they didn't have the best experience. And to that, I call absolute BS. Does she look like an empowered girl boss to you? Does this prove her theory that it's just and it means absolutely nothing? Her immediate raw response, whether she wants to admit it or not, proves the exact opposite. And this doc did a fantastic job of breaking down that perfect image that women try to create online. With their designer sunglasses and their luxurious flats, they try and attempt to portray this sleek and stylish side of work. Josh came in and completely obliterated that picture.
I think the problem with the people that we've watched critique this video is that we're watching people who themselves do not probably have never had sex. And so they don't understand what happens afterwards. And it's so different for so many people. And you can pull up more comments that are like, she's coming down, it happens, than the comment she's about to pull up that says something about self-harm. You don't know how people react to, one, an experience like this that they've been planning for months. Two, an experience where you have to sleep with people you don't know. Three, an experience of just sex in general. Like, you don't know what it's like. There are plenty of people who have cried after sex as a release of emotions. There are plenty of people who have to come down afterwards, and this is what it looks like. Could this have been something else? Sure, but why are you speaking for her? I'm gonna drop a bunch of maybes because Lily seems to be fine, and Lily tells us how she feels. And who are we? Who am I? Who is she? Who is anyone else to call her a liar about her own experience? And I actually cannot believe she thinks Josh is on her side in this. Like, sorry that you found a man who wants to treat a woman like a person. That doesn't mean he's sitting there judging her for doing something he wouldn't do. Like, at no point is he like, wow, she's disgusting.
Someone said, this isn't empowerment, this is self-harm. She and those men are doing terrible harm to themselves. Prayers to them. Someone else said, this isn't the symbol of strength. This is the sign of brokenness. I mean, all of the top comments are like this. Someone else said, this should be categorized as a horror documentary. Someone else said, this is the best anti-porn film I've ever seen. Someone else called to one of her comments earlier in the video and they said, you know, you just start to disassociate. Babe, that's called your brain and body trying to protect you from trauma. There were a ton of comments that see this for what it is. Someone said, 31-year-old man here. I cried at the end. That was heartbreaking. Her team, those men, all awful people. Her being gifted a single white rose is tragically poetic. Wow. The saddest part is that—
Oh, she like whole stole that line then. Good for you. You're taking writing from YouTube comments.
Wow. The saddest part is that not a single person around her said, maybe you shouldn't do this. While this documentary has gone viral on YouTube, she's already back online promoting her attempt at 1,000 men in 24 hours. It's almost as if she's completely shut down any human emotions and just turned into a robotic character of herself. I mean, the fact that she's even considering this goal is asinine. But I want to end this video by echoing some of my favorite commenters out there who were saying these things on all social media platforms in hopes that Lily and anyone else who needs to hear this will. There is a love and an abundance of adoration that does not come at the expense of your soul, but rather comes to save it, where your sins can be wiped away and you can be made anew. And that love can be found in Jesus alone. For now, it looks like Lily will continue her career with new outlandish goals, forcing herself to believe that she is empowered and teaching young women that they can be like her too. But to any young woman watching this, I want to remind you that this is not how sex is supposed to be. Regardless of your beliefs, from a mental, a physical, and a spiritual perspective, this isn't good and it isn't good for you. You're loved, you're valuable, and you're worth so much more than this. Remember that.
So the only good point that she had was that this is not what sex is supposed to be like to young women, which is very true. I don't think Lily presents it as I'm doing this so that you should do it too. Like, Lily is not normalizing this at all. She understands that it's a lot. She says in the video, like, something about how a normal girl shouldn't do this. Like, this is very much an extreme thing that somebody wants to do, and so they do. And instead of just hoping that she's okay, you use it as an excuse to judge her, which I think is just so stupid. And to show you kind of like the disillusionment that these people kind of just run with, the comment section is now what makes people truly click these videos. Oh, the irony. More people are viewing the comment section of the comment section than the actual video. 95% of the views on these vids are people clicking just so they can go to the comment section and ignore everything she says. I think that probably works really well for this video. Oh, it might be. I think we'd have more respect for her if she addressed the comment section's comment section and if Reagan had her own identity and not copying Brett's. It's bad to sleep with 100 men in one day, but it's also bad to take your best friend's channel and imitate her? Oh. Yeah, people do not like her. I'm going to end it off with something that's not going to sound very smart because it's not, because I'm a normal person who is not any smarter than anyone else, does not have anything more special to say, and understands that my thoughts are probably very common. So here they are. Starting a video where you so badly want to call someone a whore and then ending it by saying, Jesus is watching. Jesus would never do this. Jesus loves you. It's just such a perfect and poetic way to just reveal that you know nothing of what you're talking about. To believe in a Jesus that would judge anyone for anything that didn't hurt anyone else is such a dumb thing to do. And you forget who Jesus' best friends were. Or maybe you just choose to ignore that. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Brett Cooper. I don't know Reagan's last name. Dick Doolittle, Turkey Tom. I'm trying to think of people that I just don't like. Lewis McClung recently. If you cannot speak of people with respect, then you probably just shouldn't speak of people. You're allowed to dissolve that when it comes to people who are hurting other people or who belong to groups that are hurting other people. That makes sense to me. When you're looking at a woman just exercising her right to do with her body what she wants and monetizing the over-sexualization that she has to deal with anyway, what are you judging her for? You know what I've never thought to do? Make an OF account, go to her profile and sub. It's not something I would do, and it's not something I think about. But there are thousands of people who do think that way and who do that and who for some reason are turning to the internet for this. And she's the problem? Well, if she didn't provide the you just said there are 4 million of them. There are 4 million people on OF. She's the problem? Like, she sat through this video, picked out 4 or 5 points she thought were gonna sound so smart, and then they didn't. And the people, her audience is unfortunately just gonna think the same way she does. And that sucks. But whatever, I'm gonna call it there. You don't have to say goodbye to me, but you should probably say goodbye to Toast. Have we all done our kegels today? Have we all been on TikTok?